Hello, welcome to the Ouija Warriors. I'm Christopher John Stephen. Before we start the show tonight of our usual 2025 Eurovision recap, I want to talk to you seriously for a moment. While we were getting ready for doing the show this afternoon, we received some very tragic news about one of our good friends. I'm going to bring Ray and Andrew in this point. Gentlemen, hello. Good to see you.
Hi there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a very great colleague of ours, we've heard, passed away today, the 20th of May, 2025. Passed away very swiftly but soundly. He was a very good friend of mine. I known him from very early days because he was from the islands. He started doing comedy, did quite a lot of comedy gigs in Aberdeen, around near me where I started up. He was no stranger to Ray's showcase shows, and since I moved to Glasgow and sort of later Hamilton, I did get to gig with him quite a lot and the charity gigs and things like that. His name was a good friend of mine called Les Sinclair. Ray, obviously you've gigged with him a bit. Maybe you want to sort of add a bit of your tributes there.
Yeah. When I first started comedy, sort of 2010, 2011, he was regularly on some of the shows I did. I got chatting to him, and he was honestly one of the loveliest guys I'd met. Very friendly. Even off stage, loved joking around with everyone. But he never had a bad word to say about anybody. And yeah, anytime I brought him on my shows, the audiences just sort of loved his warmth and telling their stories about when he was a teacher and all the times, all the jokes about Shetland. Just a really sound, lovely chap, and very supportive of pretty much everybody in the comedy scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Very fitting for obviously we're going to do our usual Eurovision roundup tonight. One of his favourite jokes, and I always going to remember this, was it was not sort of staunch supporter of Scottish independence, but he saw the sort of funny I remember I based a bit of some of the routines in this was where he went on about there's all these arguments about sort of Britain being independent from Europe, and we're going to manage and we're going to do well going out of the EU, and we've got vast oil reserves, we've got vast lake reserves, and I think you'll find the Scottish are going to turn up and go, "What do you mean our oil?" By the way, we're Norwegian.
Yeah.
I just to pay my condolences to Les. I never had the pleasure of gigging with him, but I did know of him in the scene. And as you both said, he seemed like a very genuine guy. And had a lot of time. And it just seems like Scottish comedy's lost one of the good ones. So condolences to his family and friends at this time.
Yeah,
that's very kind of you to say, Andrew. So I'd like to invite you to charge your glasses to Les. I know you got the council juice on you, Ray.
I didn't bring my glass with me, so
and my background just makes it like invisible. It's from like the lands of time just passing through.
I will raise a biscuit to him. I didn't bring a glass with me, so
I think that's a definitely a Ray way of doing a tribute to the toast.
Yeah, but I just want to share my favorite joke with him that he would put variations on it, but he was just like, because he was obviously the big hairy guy, and he used to have really long hair, and he said his wife said he should cut his hair, otherwise he's going to look girly. And he'd say, I'm a big muckle guy, I'm not going to look girly unless I go to Dundee. He always said that when he was gigging with me, or any other time if I ever go to Fife. Yeah, that was one of my favorite jokes of his.
Yeah, definitely one of the best. So, thanks, guys, for indulging me in the first 5 minutes of the show for that. Anyway, we've got Eurovision to talk about, haven't we?
Yes.
So, how did you guys find it, the final this year?
Right.
You don't have to put your hand up. You can all both go.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, I'll start then. Very enjoyable, very colourful. Everyone did a really good job. I know we're going to come to talk about the scores and the voting, but what I did like about the jury votes, the 12 points were a bit more spread out rather than all sort of piling onto one country. So it made it a bit more exciting. And then obviously we'll talk about the public scores, but I will just say it was very tense.
I agree with that. I would say it was one of the tensest votes in a considerable amount of years. I personally think last year's overall was better. I just have a feeling I felt like there was more variety. Like it seemed like they very much stepped up a gear in 2024. I think it's maybe just scaled back a little, but that was no fault of anybody that was performing. I think they all did fantastic jobs. And yeah, we'll dive into that as we go on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So let's talk a bit about the sort of opening of the show. So they did a hilarious skit where last year's winner who broke the trophy, they had to go and get a new one made out of glass, and they did the whole. It had been taken in like a fragile case and been thrown with like James Bond and going through Paralympians and things like that. Truly, it was just basically ripping off Paris in the Olympics and Paralympics last year. Let's be brutally honest about that.
No, definitely a rip off, but I'm glad that they were able to see the funny side of it and kind of play into it, especially when they were going for it and just turned around and went, oh.
That was fun. And again, you kept expecting him to do it the entire night and thinking, oh god, he's got to hand it over to the other one, and it's going to be so difficult, and you have to just break a new one again. And by the way, if that does happen next year, I've got my standalone mic. I will sell it for a very, very preferential rate to the European Broadcast Union if they're watching.
It was an interesting question though that I had around it, because I'd also mentioned to Alison that they had broke it the previous year, and she'd asked, "Do you think they'll do a redesign? Because if there was a perfect time to do it, they could just use that and play." And she was thinking about like the skit as well. They broke the last one, so we need a new one. And then it could be like a double take, broke the fake one, but oh my god, like, don't worry, it's here. Just have them bringing it out, and that's the little playful redemption. But it didn't happen. But at least I was like, my comedy brain was on. I had a feeling this is going to be good.
Yeah,
you like the men's World Cup, men's football World Cup. If you win it 3 times, you get to keep it. I think that hasn't happened yet. It's like I know the Jules Rimet Trophy. Whoever won it the 3rd time kept it, and then there's the one with the grapefruit and covered in custard type thing, and nobody's won that 3 times yet. So
it's like with the again. Sorry for the football talk, but it's about like Champions League. I think if you win it 5 times, you get to keep it. So it's a case of if in the Eurovision, if a country's won it X amount of times, why don't they get to keep it, and then they do a redesign until the next person wins it 5 times? See, I brought it back round. I wasn't being totally exclusive.
Yeah.
John Carruthers has won the quiz contest in this twice. Is that if he wins it 3 times, that mean I get to keep him?
He's all yours.
Sorry, John, if you're not better at all, are you, Ray? Oh no.
No.
It's like we say that when
he's not what I'm going on about. Please follow the links to Weird G Warrior, where we did our second Who Blancovision Euro quiz featuring Ray V, friend of the show and Red Dwarf podcast, like John Carruthers, who narrowly beat you again, but he beat you a second time, Ray. Come on. And it's not because neither of you knew who John, and it wasn't because neither of you knew who John Cena was. Which Andrew will definitely chastise you for, and it was
no, I wouldn't chastise at all.
Oh wow, hang on! It was slightly because Ray got one of the last questions wrong because he didn't know who Sir Topham Hatt was.
Okay, that
Well,
one
really got to put a wedge between you.
Okay,
I still don't know who that is.
We'll see it later. Otherwise, this will stretch on to midnight.
I will Google him later.
Yeah. The second you Google and realise who it is, you'll go, I owe Andrew an apology.
Oh, that was the tribute whiskey that's actually 12-year-old malt, and I took a big gulp. Oh, water, please.
I think on that note, like this is like he's a very strong malt.
Yes.
You should go to start with one of the places that is very well known for that. They're not the Norwegians.
Very true. No, and let's say we're going to do our usual quick run through of the acts on the final night. If you want to know a lot more about them, check out Ray's Instagram, where he went through all 37 of the acts as they first went out. But if you don't have the patience for that, stick with this because not only do you see us talking about them post-event, you'll see the during event reactions of my lovely, lovely wife, Miss Debbie Stephen, yet again, as is tradition roundabout here.
Yeah, there will also be in a new tradition that I will be uploading all of her reactions to YouTube Shorts throughout the coming days. Once I've been able to get them sorted, so you can keep checking them out for more shorty goodness.
Although, just ignore the two ones that I'm in by accident.
I didn't.
So anyway, let's move on. Norway was the first act to kick the night off, and that was Cal Alessandro with Lighter. It's always sort of slamming the young guy in the situation, but what did we think?
I thought it was okay as an opener, but I think his nerves just got to him. Like the sing, what me and Alison both were like, the singing wasn't the strongest, but they're not there just off it. Oh, they're there because they have to be. They're there for a reason. I just think nerves just got the better of them at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, he was 19. I mean,
I
think you're bad luck. You have to go. Yeah, this is a contest that billions of people watch around the world, and guess what? You're on first. Go on, have fun.
Yeah,
don't muck it up now.
It was tough to open, and I don't think he had the strongest song, but I don't think he had the weakest song of the night. He was just he was very much middle ground for me.
I look at it like the stand-up comedy. Like if I get told that I'm going to be doing an opening spot just in a small gig, like I'm hyperventilating, let alone going on and blasting a song in front of say billions of people worldwide watching it. So at 19 years old to do that, was the song the strongest? No. Was it the worst? Definitely not, in my opinion. But he carried himself well. I don't want to be 19. I mean, come on. Like I barely knew how to change my drawers at 19.
I love doing the first spot in the gig because, usually the MC goes, now you can don't heckle the acts. They're here to entertain you. You can heckle me when I'm on. And I don't want 2 minutes of me setback from me being heckled for having ginger hair. So can you not say that, please? Here's me having a go. Here's me saying, "Oh yeah, I'll get loads of knowledge out of my ginger hair from Ginger Media President over there." Right?
I can't say much. I'm getting a wee white streak now.
I noticed that.
Through the fringe. Yeah. Well, it's just weird how it just came in just that one wee patch. Alison never noticed it until, ironically, our anniversary. It's just she's like, the white streak's very prominent. I'm like, we're going to see Torval and Dean. I wonder why.
How many years has he been married?
9 years married, 12 years together. So I'm surprised that Alison isn't like a quivering wreck in a corner. She's done very, very well.
You go to double digits next year, so that's when people's hair turn white, that's the sort of slow shock effect,
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like for Ray and everybody else that your one null fact about us for the gingers don't go grey. We just go straight to white.
That's true, though.
Yep. It's like we can go the kind of the blondie kind of way. We'll go some go lighter and then go to white, or they just go straight to white. We don't go grey.
Or just off altogether, which I'm heading that way. There's more and more forehead every time I get my haircut. Anyway, must move on. We've got 25 acts to get through, for goodness sake. Next, we had Luxembourg and Laura Tom and La Poupée Montlisson.
Well, just like my kids, every time she said poopy, I just laughed. So the kids started it. The first time they heard Poopy, that was it. They were gone, and every time she said it, just busted laughing. And I wound up laughing at them and not really hearing the song because of it. It's like I'm trying to take notes, guys. Come on, and they're just like Poopy.
It's French for doll.
Yeah, because they were trying to say like what it meant, and I'm like, I was gone. I'm like, I can't even Google it. I'm streaming with laughter. Let's say the song itself, it'll have that special moment for me now because that's just something I can laugh at my kids. But the song itself was what it was.
All right. I can't get over the fact that he just basically ripping off Puppet and a String. And if you're going to do that, don't have a TV in the video wall with Puppet and a String on it. That's literally knock this off.
That was actually France Gall Poupée de Cire, Poupée de Sang from.
Oh, was it? Okay, sorry.
It was. I think 50 years ago that one for Luxembourg.
Wow.
So I think that song was kind of like a little tribute to that song. I thought there was the way she started it, lying on the floor with the background art and sort of interacting with it slightly. That was a really clever start, and the way our dancing was almost kind of like she was a sort of marionette kind of. And being sort of moved around, I thought it was really clever.
Because Alison had said, she's like, she's not exactly a very good like dancer, and I was like, yeah, but that was very deliberate. There has to be a reason behind it. But me being the uneducated swine that I am, I didn't know about the original Poopy. I just knew the new Poopy.
Yep. But it was decent. She did all right. Not spectacular, but it certainly stood out in some ways.
Yeah.
All right. We'll move on to one of the highlight acts of the night, shall we say? Estonia, Tommy Cash and Espresso Macchiato. I mean, you don't want to sort of continue with the racial stereotypes, but mamma mia!
Yeah.
I'll let Ray go first with this one.
I thought it was funny. Do you know the funny thing? Every Italian I've spoke to thinks that it's funny, and he's not taking himself too seriously. It's silly, and the way they even sort of staged that stage invasion and made it look like, oh, he's about to get invaded, and then no, he's actually bringing her on and letting her dance, and then it was really cleverly done. Certainly very charismatic. Obviously, probably a bit of fake charisma, but it certainly it made me laugh.
But I say the crowd interference bit that got me at first. I was like, "Whoa, is that actually?" And I was like, "No." When the biggest show of the year, there wouldn't be. I was like, "She's gonna start dancing with him," and sure enough, dancing. But I don't know. I think my wife felt very offended for coffee. She loves her coffee, and she was just like, I was just like, this song's for you. Like, he's saying that he loves macchiatos and his British. She was like, yeah, I love them too, but not that much. But I just couldn't help.
I was very offended for Scott and John around the world.
Oh yeah, but it seems the same else.
And I made that joke.
It was out there
when Electro Velvet did exactly the same thing for the UK, but it was shit.
Yeah. Shame that. I thought that song was...
Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
that song was
offensive language warning. Yeah, that's done. Right, okay.
I just said for the last bit, it was out there, but in a quirky way.
Next was Israel, Yuval Raphael and Udebo Rice.
Race face, just... Well, I think I'll need to do a point where I just like do a screenshot of Ray's face at this point. Just then just go, right, that'll just sum everything up. Moving on.
If we can take the politics out of it, the song was all right, nothing special. But we'll talk about the results of it later.
Yeah. I'm pretty much the same boat as you as well. Taking the politics out of the equation, just focusing on the song. Not the worst, not the best.
Yeah, it's
just kind of meh.
All right, let's move swiftly on. Lithuania, Catharsis, and Tavo Akis. I quite like it. Nobody else seems to go along with me with that.
I liked it. I liked the melody. I liked how the music built towards the end. It was the vocals for me, like too low to start with, but then picked up by the time it needed to crescendo. But I think by that point, the damage is already done.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, I said in the previous, I wasn't a fan of this one. I thought, especially when it got to the end, it was just repeating the same thing over again and then just go, screaming into the void. It was like, okay, yeah, I sympathize, but nah. It was just like a big emo pajama party.
Oh, man, I think that's a good one. But it was the kind of way, it's like, see, when you're listening to the commentary and Graham Norton said that he wasn't a fan of it, I had a feeling that I was going to like it in some way. What I watched it, I was like, at first I was like, it's weird. I'm actually
Norton's in his gun drop, to be honest.
Yeah, but when I started watching it, at first I was like, hold on, do I agree with Graham Norton here? Because at first I wasn't too into it, and then as it moved on, I was like, I'm starting to see why I would like it. I was like, and then when it got to the kind of big bit at the end, I was like, yeah, that's the bit that I would really want. Well, if it was to see a rock concert, but it's just the guy had no charisma, not even like the fake macchiato charisma. Well, there was just nothing there. Like he really looked like, I think this is the biggest show for musicians in their entire calendar year, and he looked like he would rather be in his room.
Okay, next we had Spain and Melody Esa Diva.
Timu J-Lo.
Timu J-Lo, like it.
Yeah. Well, it's very much like her style, like how she was, and her style, like how she was, how she danced, her outfit, like the kind of way, the way she presented herself as well. It did very much scream like, we want to be J-Lo, but we're not J-Lo. And normally that would be a plus point. But I think Spain just have it like unlucky. Like they just, no matter what they try and do, they always seem to just not fall in favor of like anybody. And I'm like, come on, give him a chance.
I think they're
the most second most panned of the big five, but we'll get onto that in a bit.
Yeah, I think. I liked it. I think the performance compared to what it was at the national final, it was a bit more edited, and it worked a bit better. But I think Spain are trying to get back that magic they had when Chanel nearly came third. Well, nearly won for them in 2022. So they're just basically think, okay, that worked for us. Can we just repeat that? And they need to realize, you need to bring something different every year in order to stand a chance of standing out. But I still liked it. I still think it was a good, enjoyable performance, and she certainly hit all the good notes.
And next, I thought I'd turned the brightness up by accident, but turned out it was just Ziffer Blatt and Bird of Prey for the Ukraine.
Those visuals actually gave me a headache.
They were, so one thing Debbie complains about the most about Eurovision is she can't watch half of it because all of them use strobe lighting far too much, and it overloads her because she got Herman's syndrome and she can't deal with bright light, and that's fine. But even I struggled with this, and I've got 20/20.
Yeah, it's like Connor had actually injured one of my eyes, so I was already an eye down. And then the second that burst hit up, I had to actually say, I was like, can you take any notes for me because I can't see. It's like I can listen to the song, the song was mid, because I didn't have anything else to go by. But I was just like, every time I turned around, it was just that blinding kind of pinky purple light, and I just couldn't look at it. It was hurting.
That was just his outfit.
Yeah. Well, Graham Norton said it looked very Margaret Thatcher as a teenager, and I was like,
yeah.
I was like,
these lights are not for burning.
Well, there was a light that was certainly burning, and that was the brightness of that.
The retinas was burning.
Right, next one, the United Kingdom. Remember Monday, and what the hell just happened? Continuing from understanding with the last one, this is definitely when you order the Disney Princess Bride set off of Temu.
Yeah. I mean, they were. Yeah, I'd say they were dressed like sort of Poundland Bratz dolls. But I mean, the song itself. I mentioned it when the last video that the song itself is a bit clunky, a bit messy. But I'll give the girls those due. They can harmonize beautifully. And they did look like they were having fun on stage. So that if performer looks like they're enjoying themselves, then that does make for a good performance. So
I mean, I'll be very public in the fact that I hated it. I really didn't think it was a good song at all. And I'm sticking to that. And as we'll prove later on, Europe agreed with me, but we'll get onto that in a bit. But
I can understand why they made the choices that they made. Well, those girls are very, very strong performers in a variety of different genres and a variety of different styles. Well, they wanted to try and show that they could do that, but in turn, they overloaded the song. Well, at some points it was really like fast paced, and next it's really, really slow, especially like choruses, when choruses are usually meant to be a bit more up. Well, they were just trying to cram too many of their talents in. But in fairness to those girls, they rolled with it. They looked like they were having fun, and they could harmonize. So, was I a fan of the song? No, I wasn't. But can I appreciate the effort that was put in? Yes, I can. But we'll talk about the votings and parts of it when we get to it.
We certainly will. Right, next we had Austria, JJ, and Wasted Love. Now, gotta admit, this song grew me the entire week since I started watching it. It's just one of those ones that you find yourself humming. It's one of those ones that's just sort of very powerful. The visuals were impressive. The whole package, I think.
Yeah, I think like in my case, I wrote down like about the vocals in particular sold it for me, because that's, I think, gets lost in the shuffle sometimes, that it's meant to be a song contest. Yeah, the visuals and the performance are all added extras, but they've got to be able to really sing. Oh my God, what a voice! What a voice!
Yeah, that was incredible. And no, didn't miss a note the whole time he was singing, because hitting those high notes, put your voice under a lot of strain, but he still hit them absolutely perfectly. Takes talent.
Yep, and at 24 as well, and we were talking about Norway's one earlier. That's still a very, very young performer. I know works at opera house and stuff a bit more, but they've all got that type of experience, and that was just rose to the occasion.
Very true. Next one, Iceland and Vab and Roa.
Right.
It's probably the most insulting thing you can think of, but they're no Jedward.
No.
God, I can't believe you just said that. That's horrendous.
Yeah. Well, I've mentioned on previous show. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, well, spoiler alert, they're not Jedward because they're not twins.
No. They are brothers, but they were born years apart.
Yeah, very similar in age.
Yeah. But yeah, Jedward, when they first did Lipstick in 2011, I actually really liked that one. I should slap myself for saying that, but I actually had that down as a winner. But yeah, going back to Iceland, this was there. There was fun moments. It looked like they were enjoying themselves and they were having fun, but there was nothing hugely special that stood out about it.
I felt bad for them a little bit.
I say, almost miraculously, it's been done. Oh my God.
I did feel bad for them a little bit. Because,
twice, and we let that happen.
Yeah. But they were enjoying themselves, and that's what I like to see. They were really throwing themselves into it. Did I think that they deserved 0 off the judges? No, I don't. Maybe throw them a courtesy like here or there. So I'm glad at least they avoided the complete 0 for it, because they put on they tried and they put on a show. That's all we can ask for sometimes.
Yeah, don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that none of the acts got a 0 from the televoting and a 0 from the juries this year, which is good, but obviously it led to some quirks, shall we say, in the end voting, which we'll get onto in a wee bit. Still got a few more acts to go through first, though. So Latvia, Tantu Mietas and Berman Lamy.
This was beautiful for me. They harmonized beautifully. Staging, they worked so well together. They all harmonized beautifully. I thought this would be a bit of a dark horse, and I was proved right. This was amazing.
I will be going the other way. I thought it was crap.
Get out now.
My notes were BDSM Rivendell. Who went to see the elves?
Okay, I could kind of get that.
My wife and I both looked because we had our twin 7-year-olds at this time, and there was basically we know they're not naked; it's bodysuits. But the first thing my kids asked were why don't they have clothes on? And I was like, yeah, I actually felt uncomfortable. I was like, this is still meant to be a family show, right? I know we weren't even after the watershed yet at this point. Well, I was like, it's part of performance, but me and Alison, well, maybe we were just old fuddy duddies now, whatever. But no, again, the vocals were lovely. Well, I didn't like the rest of it. Sorry.
No. Can't please everybody.
I know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Moving swiftly on. Netherlands and Claude and C'est La Vie.
Sometimes in love, sometimes miserable, and I still hear my mama's voice.
That would be interesting because if he won, he'd have to give the trophy to Ireland. Bewitched joke. Fine, suit yourselves, right?
Yeah. No, nothing. I mean, it was very safe. It wasn't too in your face with the performance. Song wasn't too dramatic. It was just it was. Some might say it was a bit too safe, but yeah. What I mean, yeah. Nothing about it stood out, but nothing about it made me hate it. But nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this one might have been more of a political move song than anything else. It's probably just a case of let's not make any headlines, let's have no waves, let's just play it as safe as we can, so we can scrape by this year and then push the boat out again next year. I think it was just a get back into good graces kind of one. Well, I think it done the job. It wasn't the worst, wasn't the best.
Yeah, very middle ground.
Yeah.
And then I pressed the wrong button on the remote, and my OnlyFans went to the screen and didn't ruin the performance. And then I realised it wasn't. It was the finish entry, "It Called" by Erica Vaikman.
Is this just a new dominatrix BDSM thing I'm not aware of, or Nightwish needs to get themselves invented again?
Sex dungeon, anyone?
Yeah. No,
you'd be looking at my browser history.
No, I thought. Song itself safe, but that was sold on the performance. No, she absolutely sold every single word, belted out all the notes. So that was a very performance-heavy song, and it paid off. Yeah,
well, you could tell where those votes were coming from.
Yeah, a lot of dads had gone quite quiet all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
Okay, again, Italy, Lucio Corsi and Volvo Acera on Duru. The Sheen, David Bowie, but what do we think?
Yeah, it had a very 70s throwback vibe to it. Quite melancholy, but likable. My wife hated it. She absolutely hated it. She was just like, I don't understand this. Like, I don't get it. It's not me. It's not my thing. It's like, I just found it
Bowie tune now and then. Don't get me wrong, I liked it. It was just one of these ones that it's not what you expect. I suppose, Italy obviously won with Manskin a while back, and that was a proper sort of heavy rock. Italy always do seem to surprise you quite a bit in this contest. You never really know what they're going to come up with, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
That's what I like about it, to be fair.
I personally found it a bit boring, because I've had such high expectations of Italy from the last 10 years or so, because they've been so amazing. They've tried different things, and And this year they went sort of soft, easy listening ballad by someone who looked like a sort of emo child catcher. But it bored me.
But the thing that I thought was like unique about it was them doing the subtitles.
Yeah.
It's like, because they got to I just wish that the lyrics weren't so LSD written.
Yeah.
Well, because my kids are at a stage, obviously they can read quite well. They're reading the lyrics and they're going, but this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And when 7-year-olds are telling you that the lyrics that they're talking about don't make sense to them, there's something.
Mm-hmm.
These are kids that like songs called Skibbity Toilet. Well, and this is what they're saying.
In case you're over 40 and you don't know what it is, don't Google it ever.
Well, see, when I hear Skibbity, I think there's I know it's probably the same thing, but there's a group called Little Big who did a song called Skibbity, which was fun and enjoyable, had a dance routine to it, and diehard Eurovision fans will recognize Little Big because they nearly represented Russia in 2020 before that thing happened.
Yeah, that thing which is very much getting put to the side with a lot of other things that have happened in the last 5 years for some reason.
Yeah.
You don't want to Google it or know what it was. So what did we think of Lady Gaga?
Hey. I see what you did there.
You know what? See, for 52, props. Well, I'm getting winded doing a fight scene in New Cumnock, and I'm 37. so being able to do that at 52 years old, that my wife, being the prude that she is, was very critical. She was like, had a cat slashed her outfit. I was like, shut up, I want to see if she can actually land this.
Yeah.
And she did. You know what? Well, it was one of the ones that I thought was actually more, I think that's J.Lo should take tips from that. But rein it in a bit clothing wise, but still have that energy and that kind of charm about her, which she did.
Shane Paul never seemed to do very well, and I always think they're quite good with what they produce as well.
Yeah,
they're quite
steady. Sorry. I was just going to say this was one of my favorites. All the way up, I thought I had all the elements of a good song. It was partly in Polish. Had cultural elements, had a woman who could sing high notes and hold long notes and could deliver a good performance. So, it was one of my favorites.
We next had Germany, Aberrantina and Baller.
You ready, Dad?
Yeah, this wasn't planned that Germany had to follow Poland in the slightest. But you know what? Normally, that type of music that Germany would have, whether it was more kind of dancing, normally it's not my thing, but it grew on me. I think the energy of it, and they clearly wanted to put on a good show. They really sold to the crowd with it. I think it was like a wee dark horse for me.
I was quite surprised. It was. Going into, I thought it was one of those, the song's nice and it's not strong enough for the contest, and then performance was very safe, didn't go too gimmicky or anything like that. So it was a slow burner.
No, I've got to admit, I pissing love me a bit of European electro funk, so I was enjoying this. Which if you've watched this and Andrew's done his editing right, you'll have just seen a very fat man dancing to it. So got to admit, did like that. The 4 people just dancing for no apparent reason was good. It just reminded me of a couple of. Ironically, it did remind me of a couple of clubs I was in Switzerland when I was a research student in Geneva. So, if you're wondering what it's like in a dank Euro disco, that's what it's like. So I think it gave you the proper experience. I think that's probably why to sneak to quite a few points at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
Getting ahead of ourselves. Still got the few acts to go. Greece, Claudia, and Asta Romata.
I like this one.
I didn't know Judith Ralston was that good a singer. I mean, honestly.
My notes were, when did they bring Deirdre for Coronation Street back from the dead?
Oh, come on, get it's up to me glasses.
I know. It was like, because Alison was like, was it Dame Edna that had the really big glasses? And I was like, what? We're like, right, who else we compare to, like John Higgins or whatever?
Yeah, Dennis Taylor, everyone who ever had big glasses.
Yes. But for me, sadly, that's the only bit I'll really talk about with it. It just didn't hit with me. I appreciate the effort.
She was a good singer. You got to admit that.
Yeah, appreciate the effort in that, and a good singer. But
yeah, if it was just a song contest, then that would be fine. But it's not anymore. It's songs, visuals, and performance, and that, and that's a shame because it sort of lends it a bit more to sort of days when you just get a really singer who could come in and win the competition. But
yeah, that's why that's why I think like Austria is like also the counter to that, where it had great visuals and everything to go with it. But because I was so soon after the Ukraine, I was still quite blind, so I couldn't really see much. So I could only really hear the vocals, and that's what I picked up on most. I was like, what a powerhouse performance. But in this case, it was like, her singing was good. But it's one of those things that people will probably be like, they'll more think about the glasses. Because that was the thing I thought of, and I'm like, that's not fair. But sadly, I think she'll be a pub quiz question.
That's not fair, even though we made the big play for it right at the start of this entry. So.
But I'm going to be honest. This was a big climber for me because when I first heard it and I heard all the other songs, I thought this is going to get overshadowed. I had it quite low, but then the way she came out and delivered. And even the visuals on the stage were a nice touch, and so this has been a big grower for me.
That's what she said.
Stop it, you. Right, so next, going back to the strobe lighting theme, we had Armenia and Park and Survivor. My God.
Honey, let me know when the strobe lighting's done. I'm enjoying this song. The song actually sounds quite good, but the strobe lighting.
Yeah, well, that's his OnlyFans page sorted.
Yeah, I have to say, like, for the song-wise, it was my personal favourite for the Euros. Very energetic. Very energetic.
At the same camp as you, she loves the song as well, but she can watch the damn thing because of all the visuals for it.
Yeah, I could definitely sympathise when I was watching it. Like, at this point, my head kind of settled a bit. But like, it was very energetic, very powerful. What really threw himself into the performance. But yeah, like, if he's not got an OnlyFans, get one set up, because like, that could potentially be his retirement tour.
Yeah. This is another one of those middle ground songs. Nice, decent song, decent performance. It's a bit too heavy reliant on the strobe effects and stuff, but it was all right.
Okay, next on Zoe Me and Voyage for the hosts Switzerland. Now, again, we'll get onto this in the point section, but let's just talk about the song to start off with. Didn't strike me as memorable, I must admit.
My notes were, it was what it was.
Yeah. I thought it was beautiful. And the atmosphere of just, her, a light, keeping it simple. Honestly, I thought it was one of the best host entries we've had in a long time. And host entries recently have been crap. So to have this one, I was pleasantly surprised by it. And I really enjoyed it. So I might have to disagree with you both on there.
Mm-hmm. Again, as you say, It's not happened since the 90s where the hosts have won themselves a second year, which we'll get on to when we talk about the voting. But yeah, it is quite the fact that Switzerland obviously put a lot of effort into picking a singer for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and I think because a lot of people probably might have been expecting them to do what they did with last year's entry, and they took the chance to go in a completely different direction. For some, it paid off. For some, it didn't. But yeah, it was what it was, but I didn't necessarily think it was
bad. And we're back to OnlyFans territory with Malta and Mariana Conte in serving. Gotta admit, I quite enjoyed a double helping of that.
It was bold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear what the song was originally called before they had to change it?
No, I don't think I had.
It's called Kant, Kant. And just after, she used to say, Do, re, mi, fa, so, serving Kant.
Right.
And now you can see why they had to,
So that was the controversy that was going on around it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think the crowd was shouting.
The Claude version is what you're saying then.
Yeah.
That's a shame. I think that might have cost them points, sadly. But the rules is rules, I guess.
But I think it was. I still think it was an enjoyable performance, and she sold it. She's got good vocals, and certainly got a lot of energy on stage. So
she certainly looked like she was enjoying herself.
Yeah.
Well, with the hippity hop.
Yeah, the yoga balls.
Yoga ball. I always think of the hippity hop things that you had when you were a kid.
Oh, the space
had to be the space hoppers. They had to be handled just over the went.
Yeah.
That's like. It was bold, but probably for the sake of my marriage, I should stop there.
I'll just be with you in a minute. Download link national version.
Your Amy Festus.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, next one, Portugal and Napa and Dissect.
Deslocado.
To be honest, I needed a Napa at that point. They didn't disappoint because it was boring.
Yeah. But you know how I'd said last year there was an entry where my wife thought that spiked her drink? Well, this was this year's entry.
All right.
Well, she absolutely despised this. Like really, really hated it. I thought it had a kind of 1960s top of the pops charm to it. I say charm, not like in a bad way, not like hold on, Jimmy Savile's coming on the scene kind of charm. What I mean, it was a throwback. It's a throwback, and sometimes that can work in your favor. Sometimes that can work against it. Like say, my wife hated it. She was probably in the same camp as you. She's just like, wait, I just want to go to sleep. But I just thought, it had a charm. It had a quality of its own.
Yeah, I'd agree. It was there for most part, but given that there was a lot of high energy, it was kind of nice to sort of have a wee break from all that. So, especially coming after Malta was big, high energy. It was nice to sort of relax a little bit into the rest of the contest.
Yeah, well, Christopher, you will get this reference. Like Ray, you might not. What did they do in the WWE premium live events where they say that there's a match where you can go for a comfort break?
Oh yeah, this was definitely the comfort break.
This was the comfort break song. Because for Ray, that's the same kind of analogy. Like if there's a really high intense wrestling match, it's got a lot of story and drama behind it. But they want to make sure the audience has that little break before they get to the next one. That's also a higher one. They'll put a wee kind of mid card match on where it's pleasantly enjoyable. But if you really need to go to the toilet and relieve yourself before the main event,
it's more of a tickle fight.
Essentially, yeah.
tickle
Well,
fight or a custard pie
it'll be
fight
more-
or something.
It'll be one that's kind of just thrown in because like they want to get people on the card that can wrestle, but there's not too much story behind it for investment.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to be fair, Ray got out of the 5 female wrestlers I asked him about in the semi-final 2 show. He did get them all correct. So,
in fair play, the women's wrestling is pretty damn good, and I don't
he
see
was able to identify Trish. You'll like this, Andrew. Trish Stratus, Sensational Sherry, Alundra Blaze, Wendy Richter, and Velvet McIntyre.
Wow,
They just had wrestling-sounding names.
Wow, that's Velvet McIntyre. I wouldn't have got. Well, so props.
Although saying Velvet McIntyre also sounds like a drag queen.
Yeah, there could be something that we expect Drew McIntyre's brother to be doing on Drag Race.
Yeah, any name that sounds a bit like it could be a drag queen, probably a wrestler.
No, Projecting Drew McIntyre isn't any relation to Velvet McIntyre.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well,
you're watching the This Is Raw podcast.
Yeah, I might be getting that one started back up, by the way, just to let you know.
That'll be good. Right, anyway, back to the contest. Denmark and Sissal with hallucination. There's only one sentence that I could think of when it happened, and that was this.
Oh, so embarrassing.
my word was meh. But for anybody that's maybe watched any of my other 10 channels as well, it's like I enjoy it. There's nothing too positive, but there's nothing too negative either. It's just it was pleasantly enjoyable. I have no real notes on it. And it was meh.
Yeah.
This is why weddings shouldn't have karaoke in them, because you always have an aunt who dresses like that, and you just go, "Oh my god, I can't look at this."
Yeah.
Actually, did remind me of like one of my pals' 40th that I was at, and the guy was like, "Right, who wants to do karaoke?" 2 people got up. One looked like her, and then after the one that looked like her, they stopped it. And they were like to me, "Andrew, you're an actual singer. Why aren't you going up?" And I was like, "Yeah, they did.
It's over. It's over now. It's over for everybody. Ruined."
I was like, I'm finishing my Diet Coke, and then we're going home.
Right, next on Sweden, Kaj and Barabastu. Tipped to win right up until the start of the contest. And like I say, obviously we're getting quite near the scores bit, but you probably already know who the winner was. 5-second foreshadowing, it wasn't them. And I just don't know what went wrong. Because like Shadow the Vision, okay, it was like one of these sort of silly songs. The only theory I've got is I watched this in the semi-finals and obviously discussed it with Ray and said I quite liked it. Had like a sort of Monty Python energy, I loved it. But the one thing I noticed in the finals that I didn't notice in the semi-finals was that bloke of the 3 at the end. It keeps focusing on him at the end of the verse, and he keeps going Sona. The more I saw it, the more I got threatened by that guy.
Yeah,
it's like you're stuck in a health club. He's going Sona now. Okay. Barabastu.
I do get why it was a favourite. It was very, as I'm now calling them, Eurotypical.
Yeah.
Well, it was one of those ones that, when it's neurotypicals, they go, "Oh, well, it ticks all those boxes." If I'm neurotypical, I'm like, well, that would tick all my boxes for a Eurotypical.
Yeah.
Like it high energy, quirkiness, a lot of colours, a lot of vibrancy. I could really, it ticked all those boxes where I thought, and it was also a catchy song. So it had all the boxes ticked, but I thought, okay, I could see why this was a clear Eurotypical.
Yeah, I thought it was good fun. Just repeating everything you said, quirky. Even the choreography was really cleverly done, and the costume of like going from lumberjack to in a towel, and there was a part of me thinking, "Oh God, are their towels going to fall off or something?" But no, it turns out they were basically like dresses.
Yeah. Do you not find that was a theme where, like, the female contestants this year, they would start off wearing a certain amount of lots of clothes, and throughout the performance, the clothes diminished?
Yeah, the reveals. Yeah,
It was like there was a reveal, then reveal, and then you're like, okay,
Yeah.
you're getting down to like bare minimum
Yeah.
here, ladies. Like,
Yeah.
this is still meant to be a family show up till 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I think drag queens have got a lot to answer for that, because that's kind of one of a lot of drag queens, their signature move is a reveal, like costume under a costume under a costume.
Yeah. But less dancers do the same as well, in fairness.
Right, 3 acts to go. I had France, Luan, and Mamang.
Not as good as last year's France song, in my opinion. Like, I was absolutely blown away by their song last year, especially when they cut the music and it was just them just straight singing, still keeping in perfect time right up until the music came back in. That really stuck with me. Like a lot of the acts did last year. I think that's why I thought this one was a wee bit more of a letdown for me, because a lot of the acts I still listen to today. That was one of them, because I was just so impressed by it. I get what they were.
You always think France is going to do the best out of the big five, and they didn't this year. Again, a little spoiler for what's coming up, but
it's like I say, it was. I think because it was they tried to do what they did last year, but it just didn't do it as well. But I still thought, for what it was all right.
It's a good standalone song, but
I mean, given the subject matter, it's a tribute. She's basically referencing her late mother, and now she's also referencing her daughter, who I believe is the one who went maman at the end of the song.
Yeah.
So it's got an emotional connection to, so can understand that. But yeah, it was apart from that, nothing about it really stood out other than the awkward bit when the sand was blowing behind her, and it kind of looked like she had explosive diarrhea.
Yeah, you have no idea the amount of back-splaining, because Connor was still up at this point. Our second child made it through its first Eurovision, his full Eurovision.
Oh, nice
up until all the performances were done, then we were right off the bed. Kieran got to. I had it in my notes of where he got to. Just very quickly. He got to Finland.
All right.
Makes sense.
Probably a good time for him to go to bed then.
Good night. Don't get any ideas, son. Right.
It makes sense. He's a Hermes. Okay. But so Connor was still up at this point, and he was quite confused as to why the sand was there. And watching Alison trying to explain, is it like an hourglass thing? Is it sands of time? And I'm just like, I'm just watching it just because. It's like Anakin Skywalker.
I'm 40 years old and I got the Sands of Time reference, so go me.
Yeah. Well, Ferris Allison's 42, so it must be that age range.
Fair enough.
But all I was thinking was Anakin Skywalker would hate the setting.
I just thought of that crappy Prince of Persia live-action movie. Right, second to last act, San Marino, Gabri Ponti and Tutta Italia.
Tutti l'Italia.
Gabri Ponti, aka the bloke from Eiffel 65 that did Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die. That said in the first video, and didn't realize that if you mention a celebrity, YouTube's algorithm pops up and the people mention the video go underneath it. So I'm really worried that I did that in the first video. So I'll just say he looks like a certain DJ that used to be on BBC Radio 1 who we don't talk about anymore. Let's go.
All I'll say is if they could send him out as an act, we should get Calvin Harris next year.
Why don't we do that? I've never figured out why we don't do something like that. Or again, it would involve getting independence first and then entering the EBU of Scotland. But
it's the same idea. Guy with laptop plus singers. Was basic station. I was like, you get Calvin Harris, get someone British that can sing. We got
it. Or just get somebody who can sing. You can represent whatever country you like. Quite frankly.
I actually heard see when when Graham was doing these kind of shout outs for people that were watching, and it was a guy from Aberdeen that said he was watching it and he was thinking about entering next year, and he went like, yeah, we should talk. And I was like, yes. Just imagine that, just like a foreshadowing, and all of a sudden it's just a guy from Aberdeen just coming on just to go, no, it's not me. And then they bring out the real act.
Yeah,
well, you're not referring to anybody in Aberdeen from Aberdeen in particular there, Andrew.
I'll start the petition. Hashtag CGS for Eurovision.
We all know what we believe in would win Eurovision. I believe in Joe Henry. Anyway,
yeah, I've got nothing much to add to it. It was just.
All I'll say is because we're getting on to the points in a minute. Technically, there are about 6 songs about Italy in this contest, and 3 of them were from different. Surely Italy technically won, because if you add all them 3 points up, then they beat the winner. So,
yeah, fair point. Yeah,
true.
So yeah, give the trophy back. So anyway, right, last one: Albania and oh god, the last one: Shodka, Elektronik, and Zerm.
I did not like this one. Not a show closer. Not a show closer. Didn't like it at all.
This is another one that was a slow burner from me. Felt a little bit tribal at certain points, and seemed to have like what I assume are traditional Albanian instruments, and obviously sings Albanian, and it was a bit of a step in a different direction from what Albania usually goes for, because they usually go for female singers with big voices. So it was nice for them to go in a sort of different direction. The one thing that kind of lost it for me was the guy just standing there just saying creepy thing. It was a bit creepy, but then when Beatrice, the lady singer, the one that looks a bit like Hilary Devey, came in, she sold it back to us.
Yeah, he had no point being there at all.
Yeah,
I didn't like him at all. It was just, it was like they went like, turn up, hit things, speak like a creepy Jimmy Savile guy, and then go back to hit.
Then.
It was like then go back to hitting things.
Let's go party. We'll hit you.
But yeah, just because of the performer side of me, like I always think if you're going to go on last, it needs to be something big, something like really like with a big crescendo to really to make an audience have a good feeling about it, especially if you're going to be going into which is can be quite a slog when you're doing the tallies and the points. Especially when it's the judges ones, and that was just like, oh my god, she can sing. She wore about 10 dresses at once. You could have took the guy away and just had some random person doing it, and it probably would have had the same impact.
Yep. All right. So that was that. We then had the sort of interlude breaks between the acts. My personal favorite: the people who should have won in 2023 v the guy who should have won in 2024.
Karia versus Lasagna.
Come on!
I loved that. That was better than all the acts combined for me. I loved it.
Those two are amazing, especially Karia. I'm still a little bitter he didn't win, but he technically is the real winner because he's gone on to bigger and better things from that. So, but the two of them just bounced off each other perfectly.
Yeah, Karia completely turned me, because I remember like watching that in 2023, and I was like, I didn't get the hype around it, and it grew on me. Yeah, and it was like, yep, I get it. But Baby Lasagna was like, I was on the lasagna. I was on the Garfield lasagna train.
Yeah.
What for him when it first. So the second I seen those two, and I'm like, this is going to be either like it would only be either really good or really bad.
Yeah.
And I was so glad it was really good.
Yeah.
I was just like that. I was like, why couldn't the rest of the acts have had this much? Because they were just so energetic, so lively, great chemistry, lots of unexpected twists in it as well, full of performance. That's if that was going to be like the real closer for it before going out, for me that was the real closing act.
I thought for one moment I thought I saw the closer. Why doesn't all of Eurovision get decided like this? It's going to be a lot better. It works in the Masked Singer, and then I thought, oh, hang on a minute. If we did that, that means Joe Dommett would be in charge of Eurovision. No, take it back. Take it back. Can't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like that, and I did like Nemo's really dark performance. They
that was good.
I wasn't sure what they were going for, but then when they were going in and they were absolutely belting out the big notes and despite what people think, I thought their costume was actually really cool. Wasn't so sure, it wasn't so big on the wig, but when they threw it off and like showed their vulnerability, it was like, whoa, this is quite deep.
Yeah, it was one that I like.
Got to say the wig took me straight to Grayson Perry, but once they took it off, then I was all for it.
Yeah,
yeah, it was one that like at the start I was a bit not too sure what, but then as you know, with once they go into the emotion and the rawness and the vulnerability,
absolutely.
You're like you're borderline going like, is this a beautiful piece or should we really call the Samaritans?
Yeah.
Well, I was genuinely like saying, as I was like, this is beautiful, like for me, but she was like, I'm genuinely worried about them. And I was like, me too. But yeah, we just about did very well.
Right, so we had the spokespersons for the juries and the jury votes. Some keynotes. You mentioned Chanel earlier on. She made a comeback, giving the votes out for Spain. That was good. We got our first 12, I think, in ages from an anthropomorphic mouse.
Yes.
Yeah. I always like to bring that one because
that's humility.
Yeah. But no, everyone complaining about the spoiler alert, we got nothing in the public vote, and everyone keeps focusing on that. I'm like, remember, we got 12 from Italy,
mouse.
and we actually did pretty good in the jury votes. So try and focus on that a bit more. But we just love to complain, though, don't we?
I could probably the mouse summed up Britain in a microcosm with my wife, because the mouse came on and at first she's like, "What the fuck? Why are Italy being represented by a CGI mouse?" Then the CGI mouse gives Britain 12 points, gives them the 12 points, and she's like, "This is the best mouse since Ratatouille."
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's Britain in your microcosm right there.
Yeah.
Very true. So like we said, we did United Kingdom did very well on the jury. They were actually 10th at that point, although they had the same amount of points as Finland. We got more. We were deemed to have more receiving points from more countries, which in the event of tie puts you ahead in the rankings. And then the public votes. My
that was brutal.
God.
Yeah.
I went down the rabbit hole with this one. Well, I went down my little conspiracy theory head. And obviously this is just me being a complete nut job, guys. Don't take this as fact or go and try and hunt the EU or whatever. But I have a feeling that they thought UK could get 0 points again, and strategically voted to make sure we didn't get completely humped. So that way, when they did get the no points, there was a bit of a cushion, because it felt at some points I kept looking around to Alice and going, "Am I in the twilight zone? Britain's getting points and doing pretty well. This does not happen. Something is not right. This in an era where Trump is president, this doesn't seem right to me." And then when we got the 0, because I think Alison was shocked. She was shocked. She was raging, and I wasn't. And I was like, it was conspiracy theory 101.
I know. I told you so. You guys know, being very public about, I don't think that song worked, and I just saw that as proof positive. Yeah, Europe proved me 100% right. No, there was never going to get a point.
Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I didn't think it deserved 0. From the public. But
again, there's other sort of discrepancies worth talking about. Obviously, San Marino came bottom of the heap. Again, like I say, they should club their points together with Estonia, and then they might have won it. But still,
yeah.
Up until the public
Iceland
vote,
got 0 points from the
Yeah.
jury and got 33 points from the public, which just got them above last place. Now, obviously, I'm sure somebody likes knock off Jedward out there, but again, I think one just sort of
there was clearly enough
with the juries, which is a difference, and it's very telling when you look at the jury points and you look at the combined televoting points side by side, and you see how far away some of the flags are away from each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I was glad Iceland didn't get like the 0 though. I didn't think they deserved it. Weren't great, but no, I think the only difference between last year and this year, the point for 2025, no one deserved 0.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's true.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to mention, but I'll bring it up now. The biggest shock was Switzerland.
Yeah, didn't see that coming.
Second in the jury and nothing from the public. That was absolutely savage because, I mean, like I say, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was, even Ali, who doesn't normally follow Eurovision, he was saying how much he loved that one. And he was quite happy when they kept getting points and ended up finishing second with the jury and thought, if Switzerland won this, it would check out. But nothing from the public was savage.
Yeah, I did not think that was deserved.
No,
I believe, Ray, that's the biggest sort of swing in points from between the televote and jury of all time, is it not?
Possibly, yeah. Double check Poland 2016, because I believe they got like 13 points from the juries, but got 222 from the public. So,
okay,
I think it was something about they came last with the juries, but third in the public vote. So that was I think that was a big discrepancy. But then that could have trumped it.
Okay, let's have a.
But yeah, probably one of the biggest ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
And shall we discuss the elephant in the room of Israel getting first?
Yeah, which is
it's worth mentioning because the UK televote jury gave it 12 points as well, which is very sort of telling that people can just blame it on, oh yeah, this is what happens in Europe. Actually, that's not really the case. That's what happens here as well.
I saw an image of like all the countries that all the countries and who they gave their 12 points to in the public vote, and it was quite surprising that a lot of Western countries gave 12 points to Israel, like not just us, France and Spain and Germany, and even Sweden gave Israel 12 points in the public votes. Someone's given me an interesting theory about how I'm going to go put my conspiracy theory on how the reason they got so many was because a lot of I'm going to get political here. Sorry about this. A lot of pro-Palestinian fans boycotted it for reasons. So that meant a lot of people watching it could have been very pro-Israel. Also, the fact that a lot of the casual viewers tend to only vote once and they'll just vote for whoever. Whereas the pro-Israel ones know they can vote up to 20 times and so just keep voting for Israel. That could be one of the reasons why they got so many 12 points from some of the big countries.
Fair enough. I've just double checked it, by the way. Ray, you were actually right. Poland does have the most disparate one. They got 222 points from the televote and 7 points from the juries.
7 points? Which means it's at 200.
which means it's a 215-point swing, which is one more than the 214 that Switzerland got. So well done.
Okay, so,
The man's a Euro buff through and through. It proven more and more every year. Isn't it?
Yep.
So that's impressive.
So,
Yeah, I mean, don't want to wade in too much of the politics about it. I think some of the reactions to it has been really just sort of harsh. I mean, people have been getting pelters. There was a very, very nasty bit of fake news about Graham Norton immediately following the contest, which is good, which is fine. Okay, fair enough. He did get a lot of criticism for sort of how they describe the acts, but some of it, in fact, nearly most of it, completely unfounded, in my opinion. I think Graham Norton did a fine job.
But yeah, if anyone knows Graham Norton, he knows sometimes he's a bit catty, but he doesn't. He's not doing it in like a malicious way.
It's just
that's
part
just
of his
his
persona.
humor.
Yeah, it's part of his,
exactly.
part of who he is. And again, like, I'm not going into the politics of it. Like, we all know how basically a ginger guy going and talking about politics in any type of media platform I've learned will get me like several death threats, no matter what I say. The only thing that I see on it is you vote for the song that's the best, and it wasn't. If you take everything out of it, you strip away the politics, you strip away everything like that. It's the same kind of deal where they talk about, like, in sport and football, they're saying leave X things out of that and focus on the football. If you use the same logic and I'm not saying like, do that with football, like what I don't agree with that type of thing for other reasons, but that's another story for another day. But if you're looking at it and purely what it's meant to be, where people were saying, look at it from the song choices that are there, it wasn't the best.
No,
it was.
It wasn't.
It wasn't even cracking like top 10 for me.
No,
because Alison was before the public vote came in, she was like, "We're beating Israel," and based on song quality, out of them at that point, she was like, "Yeah, I can kind of see that." When that swing came, she was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
So I mean,
the tension.
One thing I'm glad about is, sorry, go ahead, Ray.
I was just going to say the tension when it got to the top two and it was between Israel and Austria, the tension was palpable. I could even feel it from the arena, like several hundred miles away.
It's the first time in a long time that Alison and I have actually been on the edge of our seats waiting for a result.
Yeah, it was really, really tense. But you got to admit, I think the best song did win at the end of the day. Austria's
100%. Yeah,
song was powerful. It was so dramatic. It's the one that sticks in your head afterwards. And hey, what can I say? Common sense prevailed, and I'm happy about that.
Yep. Like I said to Alison, I was like, look, it needs 100 points to win. And I would have been very, very surprised if it didn't get at least 100. Like I said that, I was because she was like, what if they don't get 100? I'm like, they're gonna get over 100.
Yeah.
So this is a case of like, if again, football analogy, someone's through an open goal, they're not gonna, do what Scotland strikers have done many times in the past with an open goal and fuck it. No, they're actually going to sink it, and thankfully they did.
So, the relief. You could sense the huge sigh of relief throughout the country when they eventually did win. So,
I also noticed that the guy that announces, like the votes opening or whatever, like he never got to speak this year. He was just very much. He just did the.
That's because he kept getting booed out the stadium in the last years.
Martin
he just went.
Yep. But probably for the reasons that last year he got viciously booed because of the way he handled it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very messy last year.
Yeah. He played it very Netherlands, actually. Just stick with safe and then we'll see how we are next year.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that is it, Mazumis. Next year we visit, presumably Vienna in Austria, because I can't think of another city in Austria.
Which is exactly what Graham Norton said.
Yeah, Vienna or Salzburg.
Oh, yeah, you could do that, couldn't you?
Okay. We need to find out what part of Austria Arnold Schwarzenegger's from.
I know this. Isn't he from Mons?
Yeah, just send it there, totally, just like a total 180. No one expects it.
Yeah.
Imagine him presenting Eurovision.
Yeah.
Oh my,
12
that would be
points, my friends, go to Germany.
That would be just like
terrible Arnie impression.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, like the comedian that was presenting this year, like she had a very kind of dry, like sense of humor, which I absolutely loved.
Yeah,
well, I think that would be something like just so good. Just him turning up with a massive cigar. It's like, I'm back.
Yeah,
and just even if he just turns up for 2 seconds, because that's something I actually want to ask you, Ray. What was the whole Celine Dion thing that was going on?
Because
right, so
he's on it.
It was very rumored that Celine Dion was going to make a singing performance because she's won Eurovision for Switzerland in the past. Right. Now, she did actually make a performance in the first semi-final, but it was just in video clip only. And they had some of last year's winners come and sing her song in tribute to her, which, you know, was very nice. But sadly, Celine Dion's in sort of quite poor health at the moment. So her last big public performance was in the Paris Olympics last year. So she was sort of there. She did a video saying she was there in spirit on the first semi-final night, and they were saying, "Oh, come on, there's a big stadium across the street, and there's like a big performance center in the middle. They've got to get Celine Dion out to do a wee bit," but never transpired in the end.
Right. Well, in that case, I don't think, because Graham Norton seemed very catty about when he mentioned Celine Dion, and I didn't get why. Now I'm just like, you know what? Like, your health's your wealth, and she is in poor health. If she was at over 100%, then I would still be questioning it. It's like it's not worth it at that point. No. She survived long enough in her health to do the soundtrack for Deadpool 2. I was over the moon.
Good stuff.
Because I could actually watch a video with Celine Dion with my wife and not feel shame.
That's what you say.
Yeah, that's what I say. I loved the interaction with her and Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool at the end of that, though. Like, she really, my heart grew for Celine Dion at that point. It was like the Grinch.
Fair enough. Cool. Did look it up. Graz is Austria's second largest city, and Arnie's from the village of Thal in the Austrian state of Styria, about 3.2 kilometers west from the edge of Graz. So,
right, we got to get to Graz then. Get the Terminator.
Okay, so let's get a petition the EBU. So if you're watching and you've enjoyed it, petition the EBU to have it in Graz the next year. If you live in Switzerland, vote for Graz to be part of it.
If there's any Americans watching this, petition Sylvester Stallone. He manages to get Arnie gigs.
Right, so there you go. So any Austrians watching, so you know what to do.
Yes.
All right. So it's with this that we symbolically hand the Ouija Warrior back to Andrew Durning for another year. Any
third year on the trot?
Sorry?
Third year on the trot. We've done it now.
Yes, indeed.
This is now officially a tradition.
Looking forward to doing it next year from Graz. Graz is going to be from Graz. We've decided.
Yeah, even if we just sit and like
Geneva last year, it didn't happen. So doubling down this year.
The fact that it's called Graz, even if we just like go and sit in some AstroTurf somewhere. I'll just bring a piece of AstroTurf. We're from Graz.
Yay.
So we've got coming up. Well, Ray's got, as usual, at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival with his vibrant and vivacious variety show, starring some less savoury ginger elements, of course. Not saying anything. And obviously, we've got the Fighting Ginger Media Limited, and all the podcasts contained therein. There'll be links here, there, and everywhere. Go and check them out.
Yep, 3 years and still going strong for some reason.
Here's to you, lads. Gentlemen, been a pleasure. I shall see you next year and hopefully before.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yes.
Slanchaba.
Yep. One of the gingers.
Oh, it doesn't get any less strong than that. Oh, love it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Ouija Warriors guide to the Eurovision 2025 final. We shall see you in 2026. Take care. Goodbye now.
Bye.